Hello, this is Yuri Velasquez here. We're going to be showing you how to use CSS to design a website. Everyone knows websites are now the biggest thing for companies and branding around. So knowing how to go ahead and edit and style an actual website is very important to know. What we'll be learning today will be getting started with a local website and just using internal CSS, which means that the website itself will just be locally onto the computer. We won't be putting it on any server. We won't be putting it on anything like that. Just gonna be local to your computer, just so we can go ahead and start editing and start working with it. We're gonna be talking a little bit about the syntax, learning about how the formatting goes, learning about the words, and just learning about the right things to type in, plus a little bit of rules. Then we're just gonna go ahead and talk about how you can use backgrounds and change the colors on the actual website to make it pop off a little bit more, change the way the text looks. All right, so getting started, we're just going to be looking at how we can start locally and how we're going to be using a text editor and a web browser to start editing our website. To start out, we will need to create a new folder. So we're going to go ahead and create a new folder on our desktop, and that's just going to be pulled up over here, and it's just called an untitled folder. For the purpose of this video, we're just going to call it Learning Website, and go ahead and save that. Then, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and grab a text editor, whether it be that Notepad or whether it be any real text editor. For example, for this purpose, we're using Sublime Text 2. We're gonna go ahead and create a new page, and we're just gonna go ahead and save this. So here it's gonna ask me where to save. I'm gonna go ahead and just call this style.css, and we're gonna save that to our desktop, and that's Learning Website. So now that we saved the CSS file on there, we're gonna leave that on there. Let's create a brand new one, and we're gonna go ahead and save this guy, and then we're just gonna call it index.html. And then you see for itself here, we're saving on the learning website. So now we have those two files set up. We're gonna have to go ahead and show you how to create that in the browser. So what you want to do is go ahead and open up a new web browser. So we're gonna pull up Safari here, and that's already started. What you want to do is just drag your index.html file that we just created and drag it onto Safari itself. Now that's created the link to the actual folder, and that's what's going to pull the resources. Right now it's showing nothing because we don't have anything on the HTML file. Just for saving time purposes, we're just going to go ahead and grab an HTML template that we've used in the past and go ahead and paste that over. So we're going to go ahead and save this guy, go back to our Safari, and go ahead and reload. Now you see here, for example, we have our website loaded on with our content. The purpose of the video today would be to show you how to edit HTML using CSS. HTML is just going to be the backbone of a website, and then CSS will actually shape it to be what it is. So hopefully we're going to get started with that. All right, so getting started, it's really quick to note here on line 4 on the HTML file. This little line here will actually link the style sheet over to the HTML sheet. Obviously, we're linking over here a style sheet. The reference here will just be what is the name of the actual file. For example, ours is just called style.css. So all you want to just type in here is style.css onto there. Go ahead and save it. And now we're ready to start working on the CSS file. Now, any new changes we create on the CSS file will be over and start changing the HTML file we have here. So then it will just show up on our web browser here. So that's the first step to get everything integrated and everything going. All right, now that we got started with the local website, now using the CSS syntax, we'll look a little bit more about the outline and rules, things like classes and divs, and things about the different words to use on the actual web page. This will be a little bit basics. We'll go a little bit more in deeper with the actual editing now that we are getting started with editing the different sites of the website. As far as syntax goes and the main objectives for CSS and how it looks like, this would just be an example of CSS code on the style.css page we just created. The most important thing that you see on here is going to be the ID selector versus a class selector. This class selector here is one that will be used for multiple elements. So for example, if you have different sections of the website that you kind of want them to look the same or very identical, you can go ahead and just create that class. Name it, for example, bottom down here, which will just be the dot followed by an actual phrase, and then you can go ahead and save that class there. The ID selector is using the pound sign or the hashtag, and then followed by the same thing. Now, granted, the ID selector cannot be used with a number as the first character, but it would do the same thing in terms of the characteristics and how it shapes HTML. But that ID selected would only work with one unique element of the page, so that would only work on one specific part. Now, the other thing you see here is just sort of this slash dot asterisk and then asterisk dot slash. This is used as a comment on the CSS page. What this helps out when you're going to be collaborating with different people, or there's going to be other people looking at your code. That way you can say, hey, this is what I was thinking at the moment. This is what I want to comment on during this page. Most of the things, like I said, we'll go a little bit more in detail when we start looking at the different elements that we're going to be changing up. But this is sort of a little bit of rules you want to keep in mind when using CSS. That way you can just keep it all clean together in case you're going to be collaborating with anyone. Alright, now that we got that going, we're going to start using CSS to change the colors and backgrounds. The first thing we'll just determine what is being changed with the class selectors, and that way we can see what's being changed like that and how we're going to go use the CSS characteristics to change that. How to change the background, use that different function there, and then how to change the color of a border. That's just a quick way to show different colors you'd be able to change and how you'd be able to do that differently. So the first step on how to change the characteristics of the HTML is just kind of look at what class you're going to be using for and what different things are going on here. So for example, being content being one of them. So now we just want to go back and style CSS here. Go ahead and open a bracket up. And then what we want to do here, we're going to be changing the background color. So for background color, go ahead and do that. And then just for the sake of this guy, we're just going to go ahead and change the background color down to gray. That's going to be giving it a different look. So again, just so you can see how quick changes go ahead and reload it. Now it's going to be gray in the background. And that's just sort of how to go ahead and define what's being selected on there. Now we're going to go ahead and mess around with the actual text on here. I personally like my text to be just in the center itself. So what we want to do, again, what we saw here on our HTML is that this div class here has an h1, it has a heading 2, which will be welcome to my page, and then it has a paragraph tag. What we want to do is just want the color of the heading tag to be red. I like red, so we're going with red. And we're going to talk a little bit about borders themselves. We want every single H1 tag text that have a border bottom, and then we want that to be 2 pixels big, and we want that to be white. So then now we're just gonna go ahead and start editing the other text that we have on here. So again, we go back here. We have this H2 tag. So then we're just gonna close this up, bring out H2, open bracket, and then we're just gonna change that as well. We're gonna leave the color to be just black. No border bottom on this one. And then what else do we have? We have a paragraph tag as well. So with this tag, we're just gonna go ahead and start typing the p tag. Open this up. Just change the paragraph color to black. So I'm gonna reload that, and then we can see everything together on there. So then, what we want to do is now just sort of mess around with the actual text itself. So you can see you want the heading number 1 to be the biggest, and I kind of want to center these. So that's what we're gonna be doing. So we can go back into H1 here, and what I want to do is now just change the font size. So we're gonna go ahead and type in font size. And for this example, we're just going to be using 45 pixels. Save that on there. We're going to text align it, and that's going to be center. Now we're going to go to heading 2 as well. Font size on that guy, that one's going to be smaller since it is going to be sort of like the subheading. So that's going to be running at about 30 pixels. And then text align again, so we can put that under center. Then the paragraph tag, we're going to do that font size at about 25 pixels. And then again, same exact thing with the text align. And then just run it under center. So then we go ahead and save this guy. And then we're going to go over to our Safari page. And you can see how now the text itself on all of the headings has gone in the center. And it has changed up. And that's going to be your introduction to CSS. Now, this is very basic. I do suggest looking at other resources here. But this will just sort of give you an idea how CSS and HTML will intertwine with each other, and how they work together to create a website. HTML, like I said, was just the backbone of a website, and then CSS will actually shape it to be how you want it to be on the web browser.